Welcome to the Sweet Life Podcast. My name is Giorgio Knowles and I'm with
Chen.
And this is powered by
The Agency Bahamas.
You ready, bro?
Yeah, let's do a shot. Chen. Whew. This is straight from Greece, by the way. Shout out to James Galantis for bringing this, for smuggling this into the country
He smuggled it in for us,
our
right?
enjoyment.
So what are we doing? This is a podcast. We're going to be talking about mostly real estate trends, but we're also going to be talking about current events, what's happening that affects our country.
Right. There's going to be anything interesting under the sun that's in and around real estate. It can be tangentially related to real estate. It's just really a conversation between two friends, two professionals in the industry. We're going to try to speak as relatable to our industry and as casually, as understanding as possible, so that everyone who listens in the podcast will be able to get a grasp on what we're talking about.
So once again, my name is Giorgio Knowles. Just to give you some background about me, I have a bachelor's degree in finance as well as a master's degree in finance, and I DJ. Finance and DJ usually don't go hand in hand, right. But
it's the first realtor that DJs. Arguably the first.
I make it work though. But just to talk about what is the agency and the agency culture. So we're a band of misfits, right? Danny assembled a team of misfits to sell real estate.
The Avengers, right? That's what
right. We call ourselves the Avengers.
The misfit Avengers.
Because at the agency, it's not so much, okay, this is a real estate brokerage, but we actually operate as a family.
Yeah.
The dynamics are we are involved in each other's lives. We know what's going on. We are always in communication and contact outside of the office. Even prior to us being at the agency,
we were friends to start.
Friends before that.
Friends before that,
People say don't hire your friends, but boy, we've been making it work though.
I think to be a part of the agency is not about your resume. It's about the vibe check. Do you pass the vibe check? Also, and we have a very specific list of rules that we go by, which are all very peculiar and very what's the adjective for it? Very distinctive. In that our number one rule is no assholes.
No assholes.
Allowed, right? So if you have some type of insecurities that you come into the agency with, or you have any type of big egos, we don't want you, regardless of how much homes you may sell. We're here, we want the unity to form organically. We want us to be, like you say, family first. Correct. To enjoy working with each other, and then that in terms will enhance our performances individually and collectively.
Yeah, correct.
Right? But like you said, I couldn't have said it any better. The agency is a franchise, I guess, based out of Beverly Hills, right? Started off by Mauricio Umansky, and he had the vision to really grow the business into a multinational, international firm in a very short period of time, but it operates very lean, very efficient, right? He wants to sell real estate in a very sexy, in a new age way that no one else has done it before.
Correct.
Because we can't out legacy those players that's been here for 100 years or 80 plus years. So we have to find our own niche. And the people that we introduce from other offices, they all share the same passion, culture, the same ethos, and the same passion. So I think that's what makes us very unique. We all come from very diverse backgrounds. Right?
So tell us about yourself.
So myself, Bobby Chen here. I started off in accounting and finance as well. I did that for a few years, but found out very quickly that it wasn't my calling. It wasn't something that I was passionate about. Came back home. I was in the Midwest, freezing my butt off and having to pay a ton of taxes. So I didn't want to do any of that. So I came back home and pivoted into kind of real estate development. I was working with the team that developed Bar and Margaritaville.
Nice.
And those guys. And that's what really got me into real estate, to be honest.
Okay.
That was kind of my transition.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I pivoted from that. And at the time, I was selling their in-house condos, because Margaritaville also had a residence.
Oh, right.
So I was helping them scale out their sales department. And I figured, like, well, why am I only, if I could sell these condos, why don't I sell everywhere else? So I ended up getting a license, started off working with another firm for a few years to get my feet wet. And then I dove into finance as well. I got into fintech and a host of other stuff. But now I'm doing real estate full time for almost a year now. You know, it's been a good ride. And I enjoy working with the family.
He's actually being kind of humbled because Bobby Chen started the first digital currency of the Bahamas.
The first central bank digital currency at the time.
Yeah.
It's called the sand dollar. You still can find it in the different financial institutions, the different PSPs still carry them. But essentially the ethos of it was to make payments more efficient, right? Be able to settle from wallet to wallet in real time. And that was what we were trying to do at the time. And obviously in a super high speed technological world, you know, we quickly moved past the CBDC. Now I feel like now people are more engaging in like the crypto side, whereas you can still do the same, but you can do it on a global level. Like I literally can pay someone in Dubai, right? Using
you can save on like the transaction costs and fees.
Yeah, exactly. You can save on the transaction fees. You can almost use it as an investment.
Interesting.
Right. And I think that will be another episode for another time. But I'd like to really talk about the investment options for Bahamians in the
so
the grand scheme of things.
you got to stay tuned because we have so much content that we can start covering on this podcast.
We're like Giorgio said, we're not just realtors, right? We're just humans first, people first. We want to talk to you about things that are interesting, that we find interesting, but we also want to tie it into how you can benefit in the real estate world as well.
So before we begin, let's do a quick wrist check.
Let's do it.
I'm rocking an AP 2559SA, aka the Owl.
There's a day complication from the 90s. Very nice pick, man. Good
What you
stuff.
got?
I got the Vacheron, the Generation 02 Vacheron Constantin, the reference 49150. This is actually a limited edition to 340 pieces.
Nice, bro.
So it's pretty cool. Chronograph function. Yeah, man.
All right,
some
solid.
Heat. We got some heat on the wrist.
Let's go. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
What's happening in the Bahamian real estate market right now? What are we seeing in terms of current trends? What areas are taking off? What do we see prices kind of dipping? We had the opportunity to visit Windsor Lakes a few weeks
We've
ago.
done a lot of work in recent months. We visited Windsor Lakes. We did Aquilina.
Yeah.
We did the new Four Seasons development.
That's going to be strong.
We walked through a little bit West End before it was completed, the new development by Love Beach. So, I mean, generally speaking, I think right now the luxury market is on fire.
Correct.
Right? Everyone is coming to get a piece of paradise. And that's where the value lies. I would say in the premium sort of 1 million plus market is actually really growing. A lot of developers are coming to specialize in that price point. You know, 1 to 3 million. I think it's a very good sweet spot.
And I'm an East man, so I appreciate the Four Seasons coming back to Paradise Island and investing in it because that's going to start driving a lot more traction in that area.
Do you think East is going to make a comeback?
Yeah, bro, because Palm Key is continuing to expand as well.
Yeah.
Palm Key is kind of the anchor development in the eastern area right now, and they are always sold out every time they bring something to market.
And they're bringing some new commercial endeavors out there as well. They have that one East Plaza. On Prince Charles, right? That they finished building, and I think all the stores are pretty much all occupied at the moment.
So shout out to Jack and the Palm Key team.
Yeah.
I noticed that Carmichael is still going strong. A lot of businesses are still moving in that area, and they're purchasing a lot of. Carmichael is very long. It has a lot of homes. A lot of those homes have been converted into actual commercial development now.
Yeah, once that's precedence, I think if you have a home on the main road, even if it's zoned as a single family, you can always make an application to change it into commercial use, as long as your neighbors
Agree to it.
all have that that zoning. But I agree, though. I mean, I actually did a showing yesterday for a warehouse space on Carmichael Road.
Oh, well.
And yeah, they're looking to build a gym there, and it's quite suitable for the business. So yeah, Carmichael's still growing, but I'm more excited about the space that we can extract the most value from, which is the luxury market, right? So I know that I recently toured with a buyer, Aquilina. They had just finished. They're pretty much completely sold out their phase 1. Their phase 2, they got a couple more units left. I think the pricing starts off, I mean, don't quote me exact on it, but I think it starts off at like 3.5 on the ground floor, and it goes up.
Full amenities, kitted right out.
Oh yeah. They have all the racket sports. You know, they're building paddle, they're building pickle. I do believe that they have no tennis. I think it's just paddle and pickle. Obviously, the infinity pool. They got the outdoor sort of grill area, the outdoor gazebo with all of that wet bar, all the amenities overlooking the waters. And I think it goes from 3.5 all the way to the penthouses, which are around like the 6.5 million range.
Very good views.
Yeah, and I think with their price right, for what they're getting, high end, super high end finishings. All of the interiors are pretty much imported from Germany. So very high end appliances and the stones and all that stuff is all
That's good.
quality.
I
stuff.
find that Cable Beach is almost the bedrock right now in terms of stable luxury development. Goldwyn is right down the street. They're doing their second phase.
Yep.
Aquilina is on their second phase.
One Cable Beach is still there.
Cable Beach is still
that was
there.
the originator, I think, that started the trend.
Look at Bayrock has made a resurgence. We closed 3 Bayrock deals in the span of 2 months.
Kudos.
Over asking price. So you could basically infer that Cable Beach value is going to still be there and continue to grow as well. Even with an older development like Bayrock is benefiting of persons who want to be in the area but may not have $6 million to go into Aquilina.
And I've also noticed that there's a slight trend of like almost gentrification in that area, where all the older buildings, all those older condo residences are starting to get renovated piecemeal. Right? They're starting to do the fresh paint job. They're starting to change out some of their old HVAC systems, changing out their, just doing some renovation, general like facelift to keep up with the market, with the market shift to this new modern design, right? And I think it's necessary, because once you start getting these older buildings like Town Courts, or Chertseas, like Delaport, Delaport, completely maybe re-renovated, facelifted, you're going to see a real growth of value in that area.
Very interesting enough with Delaport. So, Delaport is an older community,
right?
Older development, but they are inserting new development within Delaport. I just passed it the other day, and it looks really nice. It looks really nice. How it blends with the old and the new together, we're going to have to see what the market says. If you're willing to pay, don't quote me on this, I believe the prices were close to $2 million for the units. The average price in Delaport right now for the townhomes is about
600,
650s.
Yeah.
If they're kind of updated, you could get it for maybe 770. The condominium units, they're averaging now about 350.
I don't think they allow short term, right? I think the minimum is a month stay, right? A month or 2 months.
Well, there's a legal battle going on right now.
Okay. You're allowed to talk about it without being killed?
Well, only for the public knowledge is that it's not settled. It's not settled as yet. So I do still see short-term rentals coming in and out of the townhomes. The condominium doesn't allow short-term rentals.
And I think that's also the appeal of the Bahamas, right? Because a lot of investors, they want to be able to participate in that rental upside. And they don't want to have to pay the income taxes on the rental income, right? Well, in the Bahamas, you still get that tax neutrality benefit. and then also you still participate in the rise in the valuation, right? The appreciation of your investment. So it's worthwhile to say that in the Bahamas, if you have a property that allows short-term like Airbnb or shorter-term rentals, you can yield some fruitful benefit for your fruitful returns for your investors, for your clients. I want to actually touch on, because you mentioned about Windsor Lakes, right? So let's talk a little bit about that development. That development is relatively new, right? There are still lots available for
Quite
sale.
a number, yeah.
We did the tour about a few weeks ago, and I know that they finished up pretty much 90% of all that utilities,
Infrastructure, yeah. The roads are in.
the power,
Yeah, power's in, yeah.
the power's in. Obviously, the lake is looking good.
Is there.
They've done all
It
the
looked
work
really good.
to
It
make
looked really
it look,
good, yeah.
to make it look as natural as possible, while still holding on to all the standards, right? All of the engineering standards required. So tell us a little bit about that. What do you think is?
What do I see from Windsor Lakes? You know, when you think of Charlottesville, you could have purchased a lot in Charlottesville for maybe under $100,000. Now,
10 years ago.
lots in Charlottesville starting at $350 for 7,000 square feet. I can only see the value of Windsor Lakes appreciating, especially you can see right into Albany from your backyard. And we know Albany is a
Growing
very,
as well.
very
Aggressively
strong
growing.
development. So having that community right next to Albany is going to drive clients who are in Albany to make investments in there for, maybe for their kids, maybe for staff.
Yeah, for staff.
But for sure, the community is going to be thriving. That's what I see.
Yeah, I agree. And I think right now you can still buy like single family and multifamily lots in there for in the 2s and 3s.
Yeah, you're getting the 2s and the 3s.
At decent size as well, right? Decent size. So I would say that there's definitely a lot of upsides that's yet to be captured there. And as you know, Albany is looking to expand their developments. You got King's College right down the road. So from a schooling perspective, from a lifestyle perspective,
Close to schools, close to different amenities. Yeah.
developments are happening around there as well.
Once you see, so remember, Charlottesville was out there basically on its own.
Yeah.
And right opposite Charlottesville, the old Fort Bay Plaza came, and then Venetian came, and then
West Plaza came as well.
and now you have the new development that Sabas is doing, the sporting kind of complex.
Seven complex.
Sporting complex. That's gonna have
7 hotel,
everything.
I think,
It's gonna have tennis courts, paddle, the works.
Yeah.
So that area is very strong. I see that same thing happening around the Windsor Lakes area. Once you get maybe a
Frank
bank or
Watson
two,
Boulevard is going to be all commercialized.
Yep. You put a couple banks out there, a couple food places, and everybody's going to start kind of building around that area, because when you have a community to support it, it's only going to make sense for you to move your business close to them as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, you also want to consider that upside appreciation of your investments. You don't have to build right away. You can buy a lot in there, hold it for a few years, see how the development trend goes,
right?
And then you can make a decision whether
you want to sell a lot,
your forever home, your rental home, your duplexes, multifamily homes, and make it as an investment.
That's true. If you bought in when they initially launched the project, you could actually sell right now for a profit.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think at the time it was under 200.
Yeah, if you bought in at the very early stage, because they've incrementally raised it, but
which makes sense.
Oh, for sure.
Risk takers always get rewarded, right?
For sure.
Early bird gets the worm. That's what they say.
Sure.
So good stuff. So yeah, we can talk about jumping into the short term and the long term.
So what am I seeing? The long term rental market right now, I feel it's tough. I feel it's tough.
In recent months, it has been a little tougher.
We are overstocked right now with inventory, especially in that $2,000 to $3,500 range. There's a lot of inventory in the market. The previous unit I had in Delaport, I got that rented last year. As soon as I put it in the market, it was rented. Now you have to kind of be more aggressive, and you have to be
massage
kind of willing
market a little
to bend a bit. You know, if you're listed for 3,000, maybe I'll take 28. You know, just to capture that kind of inflow of cash.
Yeah. I mean, the market always ebbs and flows.
Correct.
And I think right now, perhaps, I don't know what's driving this sort of this
Rental
short
slugs.
yeah, the slum in the rental market. But I may attribute it to, certain, maybe economic slowdown, slowdown of expats, moving to the Bahamas. A lot
true.
of maybe industries aren't keeping their headquarters here anymore for whatever reasons. So there may be some shifts in the market that we're seeing right now that just hasn't completely hit.
Correct.
Yet. We're just seeing a little bit of that inception.
Because basically, persons who are going to rent from the $2,500 mark to the $5,000 mark, expats. If you're a Bahamian, if you can afford to rent for $3,000 a month, then it's better for you to actually just to get a mortgage.
Exactly.
Yeah,
100%.
So,
You're absolutely right. So from what I'm seeing, the local market is still okay. Obviously, everyone needs a roof on over their head, and God's not making any more land. So the people who live here already, they'll always, there's always a market at the end for local residents. But like you say, the expat market, I guess people are moving. People either are not coming here as often as they used to
stay
longer, or a lot of the expats are just directly renting to their new friends. So they're not really going
to the market.
Yeah. Right? So if you move
That's
out,
interesting.
someone just comes in and subleases or writes a brand new lease directly with the landlord without going through a brokerage. So I've seen that trend also happening as well.
And what I'm also seeing too is persons who are able to convert their long-term unit into an Airbnb, they're going that route.
Yeah.
The Airbnb market is strong still because
hotel prices are expensive.
And you want more control of where you're staying and the persons you have staying with you, mostly families. You could get a nice 2-3 bed rental on Airbnb and not have to pay all the surcharges at the hotel. But the hotels are still booked. But Airbnb market is strong.
Do you feel like there's a short window that's left for owners and landlords to extract value from the short term from that Airbnb market until the government maybe comes in and intervenes with some of their like business taxes or licensing and registration that will essentially take away from your profit as a landlord, right?
I know it's happening. It's starting to be rolled out now, but with so many tourists visiting the country, it should balance out. I mean, I know persons who are booked around the clock in their Airbnbs.
You got to price it right. I think ultimately that's the lesson.
It is the price. What I find most persons are doing now, instead of me purchasing a property, putting it on Airbnb, I have no reviews, no nothing. They're going to Airbnb property managers and they're putting their units under their portfolio.
Smart.
Where they have good reviews and they have, referral clients. So it keeps turning over for them. And obviously you're paying a small cost to it, but it's
Do you
basically...
know what the cost is, what the range is, like 5 to 10% or something like that?
I think I know two persons who do it. One charges around 6-7%, and the other one charges 10%. And it's the full suite though. They have cleaners come in. You don't get a call. You don't do anything. All you do is give them the property. They manage it. They'll send you the portion for you. And it's working out pretty well for him. He has a whole empire on Paradise Island.
That's awesome.
Of Airbnbs.
That's what you call not having to own anything, but yet you participate in all of the upside for all those properties that you manage.
think the amount of properties he manages, he basically runs a hotel.
Yeah, pretty much.
But given the sheer number of
without having to put any capital investment.
He runs a hotel. That's
awesome.
So
that's how you get paid for your skill set, man.
Very, very happy. I might work for him now. I'm like, hey, come hire me and your team.
Or better yet, just get a couple units yourself and do the same. Replicate the process.
Interesting enough, he has sent a lot of referral business to me as well because he's had persons who may have come here for a short term, maybe a month, they stay in his Airbnb, but then the job extended them maybe 6 months. So he'll contact me and say, hey, I have a person who needs to convert from a short term to a long term rental. So
Yeah.
that's how you can work it out as well. So what I want to touch on now is the space tourism that the government has launched with the Falcon 9 SpaceX program.
Exploration,
Now,
yeah, that's cool.
obviously, there was an explosion that happened very recently, but
But it was unrelated.
it was unrelated, correct. It was not related
another
to the
spaceship that
yeah.
kind of had an explosion.
and that didn't even launch from the
Exuma.
Exuma.
No,
No,
that
that
didn't
was
come
from Florida.
Yeah.
But space tourism, what is space tourism? What do we feel is going to happen in the Exumas now? Well, what the government is saying is this. Persons enjoy space-related activities. You can imagine now that when these launches are continuing to happen, persons who have different boats and charter services are going to be taking persons close as they could to watch the launches go off. And that's going to create more jobs and incentives in that economy, as well as merch. I watched Falcon 9 take off in the Exumas. If we start printing those shirts now, we could probably sell them, Bobby.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still a little torn about the notion of space exploration. I enjoy taking my kids to the NASA, museum and seeing the moon rocks, like in that sense. But I don't know if I really want to be launched into the air thousands of miles away and then seeing the rocks in person. I don't know what it entails and the fees associated. But to me, that probably wouldn't be something that
you're interested in.
I would be personally interested in. But I do see the benefit of that creating in the local economy, right? Like, just even being selected, I think, as a destination for such a innovative, groundbreaking venture puts the Bahamas on the map, right? People who have never heard of the Bahamas will now start researching where the Exuma is, where the Bahamas
and once they see the beaches in Exumas.
Once they start seeing the aerial snapshot of where we're located geographically, they're going to fall in love. And they may, start to explore investment options here in the Bahamas. And I think also the novelty of it all, right? It's going to draw a new audience
of persons,
of fanatics, like you said, people who are really
there are space fanatics.
They come to visit the Exumas just because the SpaceX has a station there.
Actually, my sister, she has a huge telescope. Huge telescope that I had borrowed from her one time, like about this big. She likes to gaze at the stars. So I know the SpaceX Falcon 9 program is very interesting for her. And she probably is going to make a trip down to the Exumas to watch the launches. So think about this. If you can get persons from locals, Nassau, to travel to the Exumas and booking Airbnbs, going to restaurants, doing these different things, it is going to essentially boost the economy.
Absolutely. It's going to create that organic shift of natural migration of resource and workforce out to the Exumas, right? You're going to have more people opening restaurants there, right? More people, opening things that are mostly in Nassau over to the Exumas to provide the services and the.
For sure.
So, what do you think about the impact of the environment? What are the implications there?
Well, I hope the government did all of its due diligence in activating that program in the Exumas, because they do have the best beaches in the Bahamas, and I would hate to see them destroy
some type of fuel leak or some type of explosion that's going to destroy that.
But the response from the latest explosion, they said they were sending a full cleanup team to pick up debris and clear everything out. So, I mean, if that's the kind of response they're going to give, then I feel that, it's something for us to look into.
I just really hope that the government negotiated wisely with the contract in place and that there's recourse for something like that. There's like built-in insurance policies or insurance catch-alls to be able to capture any type of damages remuneration-wise for any accidents that may happen.
Yeah. So that was our first episode of The Sweet Life. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You enjoyed the talks and the information. We're going to be dropping these probably on a monthly basis as often as we can. So we hope you guys like and subscribe. And
right now for this episode, we don't have a current sponsor, but we are open to anyone who is looking to be a part of this family, be a part of this team, be a part of this production. So if you are interested, please hit us up, and we would love to feature your products and services front and center on this podcast.
So you can find Bobby Instagram at Civilized Chaos.
Civilized_chaos.
Don't underscore the chaos. And myself, the Baron of Brigadoon.
Let's do it.
All right.
Boom.